Welcome back, U.S. history students. Hope everyone is doing well. We're going to be picking up with our material from Unit 2, the Revolutionary Era. So before we begin, just some quick reminders. So marking period 1 ends on Friday. Okay, so marking period 1 is coming to a close. I know it was a little bit quicker than most marking periods we have because of the delayed start, but we need to make sure all work needs to be in by 4 p.m. on Friday. Okay, sorry, 4 p.m. All right, so everything needs to be turned in by 4 p.m. I sent students emails directly through Google Classroom if you were currently failing U.S. history. In those emails, I included a list of what assignments you are missing. I also said in that message that we should be completing assignments in a specific order. So if you are missing any exams, that should be your number one priority. That's the biggest portion of your grade. Then if you're missing any homeworks, you should complete those second. And if you are missing any classworks, that should be the third focus of your work being made up, okay? So we need to understand it should be exams, then homework, then classwork that should be made up, okay? So moving into our activity for today. All right, so our aim says, how can we summarize the impact of the Boston Massacre on relations between the colonists and the British? So similar to what we've been focusing on in this whole unit, we're trying to figure out how an event, the Boston Massacre, is impacting the relations between the colonists and the British. All right, we've talked about how this unit is really kind of looking at a series of dominoes that are falling between the colonists and the British. Right? And we're looking at events or instances where tensions rise as a result of some problem or issue that arises between the colonists and the British. Okay, so today we're keying in on the event known as the Boston Massacre. We're going to learn about what goes on in this event, what caused it, what the effects are, and then we're really trying to figure out long term, how could this event impact those relations between the colonists and British? So our do now goes back to something we did on Monday's activity, and it says summarize the meaning of no taxation without representation. All right, so this is a famous saying that comes out of the colonial era. Colonists use this as a rallying cry. So why did this become a rallying cry for colonists? And a rallying cry is almost like a motto or a slogan. All right, it's something that brings colonists together for a common cause. Okay, so what is it about this statement that makes it a rallying cry for colonists? What creates that passion for this saying, no taxation without representation? You can pause the video. If you need to go back to your reading from Monday's activity to help you out, that's more than fine. You should be answering this do now on your paper. Okay, so now we're looking at the actual handout to get us going today. And you'll see that we're going to be using a secondary reading to help us understand what is going on with the Boston Massacre. Okay, as we always want to do, we want to look down at the questions first, and we'll see that the first question is another one of these activities where you're ranking information in the text. All right, so we're trying to figure out, in your view, what are the 3 most important pieces of information that addresses this question? How did tensions grow between the colonists and British? So in the text, I want you to highlight or underline what you think are the 3 most important pieces of information that answer this question. Okay? And what we're trying to do is figure out what in the text is most useful for understanding this question. Okay? And something we are stressing this year is that not everything in the text is of equal importance. Okay? So for this question, how did tensions grow between the colonists and British? Try to identify 3 of the most important pieces of information, and then you are just writing them down in this space. All right, question 2 is more of a review question, but it also comes from the document. All right, it's asking about why the British are raising taxes, how the colonists feel about them. So really this is a cause and effect question. All right, and then question 3, you're trying to go into the mind of the colonists, right? And it's asking, when large numbers of British troops arrive in the colonies, how might you feel? How do people feel when large numbers of troops arrive in an area? What are some of the emotions? What are some of the feelings people might have as a result of a lot of troops arriving in the colony? So this is, you're trying to kind of teleport into the mind of a colonist and think about, what would your reaction be to the British sending more troops over to the colonies? Okay, so once we're done with that, all right, we'll move to the second page, and we will also be using the PowerPoint to help us out. So for the second page, you see that we're going to be doing an analysis of an image. Okay, on the document, you see there is no image here. What we have to do is go to the PowerPoint. You'll see the third slide gives us the image we're going to be looking at. Okay, also in this slide, you'll see there's some background information that is given to you. All right, so this background information is designed to give you some sourcing information. All right, you learn a little bit about the creator of this print. All right, you also learn about where this print is being distributed. Okay, so that context is going to help us understand this print a little bit more. So it says directions. Analyze the primary source, the bloody massacre perpetrated in King Street by Paul Revere. As it says here, this image can be found in the PowerPoint that is part of this posting. To aid you in your analysis, use the chart below and the 3 questions that follow. So we're starting off by looking at observations, and then we are using those observations to make inferences. And remember, all an inference is an educated guess. Okay, so we're going to be looking at 2 different groups when we're analyzing this image. We're going to be looking at the colonists, and we're going to be looking at the British soldiers. So when we go up to this image, I want to stress, all right, the British soldiers are the group to the right. All right, the colonists are depicted as the group on the left. Okay, so that's really going to be the basis for our understanding of this print, and also the basis for your observations and inferences. So you have some sentence starters here. If you want to continue writing following sentence starters, that's fine, or you can write down below. All right, but one thing I want to stress is when you make observations about a specific group, so we make a couple observations about the colonists, your inferences should be connected to what you observed. All right, we need to connect inferences to our observations. Okay, there's a reason why we are thinking about what we see first. Right, that should be informing what your educated guess is about what is going on. Right, so we need to make sure that there's a clear connection between our observations and inferences. To conclude, we also have some analysis questions. All right, the first question is really hitting on sourcing. Okay, so use that background reading that is next to the print. Okay, then we're getting into some more of our W questions. So why do you think Revere titles this print The Bloody Massacre on King Street? How might this influence a viewer? Okay, so we're looking at perspective as well. And then, once again, you're putting yourselves in kind of the shoes of the colonists in 1770, and you're trying to think, how would you react seeing this print of the Boston Massacre? Right? As a colonist, what might your feelings be? What might your emotions be? How might you feel towards the British as a result of this print? Okay, so we need to make sure that everything we're doing on this second page is based on this image that is included in the PowerPoint. Okay, Our observations should be drawn from that. Our inferences should be drawn from that. And then those analysis questions match up as well. Today and tomorrow, so Wednesday and Thursday, I do have live instruction. So I won't be able to run Zoom office hours for the U.S. history classes. If you have any questions or concerns, you can send me an email or you can comment on the document, and I'll respond as soon as possible. Make sure you're getting your any assignments that are missing done as soon as possible, and I will talk with you guys soon.